Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Big Tank Talk. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of bringing to you Ms. Patty Stefan. She is a musician and a singer, and quite a talented musician and singer. Patty, welcome to Big Tank Talk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
I appreciate you taking the time to be here. Let me ask you first, before we get into the meat of this interview. Um, are you have a family? You like a husband or children? Or
No, no, I'm divorced a long time ago, and I never had any children.
okay, I understand. It's not really relevant to anything else. I just it's part of my getting to know
Sure.
you, part of this. Um, so I guess just to jump into the meat of it, what got you into music in the first place?
I would say that music's always been in our home. My mother was always, she was a big influencer. She used to take piano lessons, and she kind of pushed me into taking piano lessons. But my mom and dad were always playing music in the house. My mom was kind of the easy listener. My dad was the rocker. You know, he had the 8-track tapes with Van Halen and Led Zeppelin and Eric Clapton. So I would say it just came from the family influence. That's how I kind of got into it.
Yeah, and I think your dad and I have a lot of the same interest in music. To be honest with you, because those artists you mentioned are artists I grew up listening to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I probably lean more towards the rock side, but I love all kinds of music. I can listen to anything from Mozart to Metallica, so I just love music.
You and I have that in common. I love all styles and all genres of music.
Yeah,
Let me ask you: do you write your own songs, or you record songs other people write?
I do. No, I do record my own stuff. I actually have a studio, a home studio, which just consists of my computer and a lot of plugins. Um, I do covers too. I mean, I still do covers. Like when I go live on social media and stuff, I'll mix my music in with cover tunes. But yeah, I do write my own stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. And I've heard you sing, and you're very talented. Plus, you're a good musician.
Thank
Um,
you.
so when you're sitting down to just with a blank slate, so to speak, and you want to write, you want to go from writing the song to practicing and actually playing so people hear it. What's your creative process?
A lot of times, most of the time, it always starts with the lyrics. I might have something that's kind of weighing on my heart that I want to write about, and I'll start working out the lyrics first, and then I'll put the music to it. When I record, I always start with my rhythm section. I always start with the drums and the bass, and then everything that goes on top of that, whether it's keyboards, a piano, or any other, then I put backing vocals and lead vocals in. The last song that I recorded, that I actually put out was a song called "A Woman's Got to Do What a Woman's Got to Do," and I actually have a real sax player playing on that thing. There's an app out there called Fiverr, and you can hire musicians. And so I sent my song out to this girl that I found on there. Her name is Donato Greco. She's from Naples, Italy. And she laid down the saxophone track and then sent it back to me, and then I put it into the song. So it's pretty amazing what you can do out there. But that's kind of my creative process. I usually, most of the time, it's lyrics, something I really feel led to write about, and then I work the music in.
Well, that's awesome, and I'm going to have to track that song down that you mentioned because in addition to the guitar, which I've just started taking lessons to learn how to play, I'm a big fan of saxophone. So I'd love to hear one of your songs with a real saxophone player in it instead of a computer generated saxophone sound.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is available on Spotify and all the major streaming apps.
Well, I will definitely look you up on Spotify, and you'll be added to my playlist.
No, thank you.
Now, as we're moving on here, um, what since you started playing? Well, let me ask you this. I know what got you into music. What inspires you to make music now, to write songs and perform?
I think it's just, music is very much therapy for me. it's my get away from the world kind of thing. I just love, that creative process has always been a part of me, because I also like photography too. So I've always been kind of artsy, always into creative things. So that's probably what drives me more than anything. It just brings me happiness. Music is my therapy. So that's probably the biggest reason. I kind of stepped away from music for a while, and I was focusing on photography. And then my friends were like, "What's wrong with you? Why aren't you making music? You're so good." So I kind of got a guilt trip, and I started getting back into it again. And now, with all this electronic stuff and plugins and everything, it just opens a lot of doors and makes it easier for you to do things yourself, But
Right.
that's yeah.
And there was a line in a movie called "Here Comes the Boom," of all movies to pull a line from. But Henry Winkler is Kevin James' best friend in that movie, and he was a music teacher. And he said something that I firmly believe, in that without music, life would be a mistake.
Yeah, yeah. It's everybody loves music. There's not too many people that I know of that don't like music, so it's the universal language.
Yeah, I believe we all have a soundtrack to our lives that we set ourselves. And as I'm moving forward in my life, and I'm not young anymore, I'm 60 now, but as I move forward, Patty Stefan will be added to the soundtrack of my life, just so
So
you
we're
know.
the same age then. So that explains why we like the same type of music.
That may explain it, although you don't look as old as I do, just to be fair. So let me ask you now, if you could choose anybody in the music industry, past or present, that you could open for in a concert, who would you choose to open for?
I'm not really, there's a lot of musicians out there that I love that have inspired me. I grew up on Pat Benatar and Hart, and I love Eddie Van Halen. He's one of my favorite guitar players, but I never really got caught up in the celebrity. I actually had a dream come true once. I was very much into the Christian music genre for a while, and one of my favorite artists was somebody by the name of Margaret Becker, and I actually got to open for her. That was like a dream come true for me. So there's nobody right now that I could think of that I just love to open up for them, because I kind of sort of already did it.
Right.
Yeah. That would be
Okay.
my answer. You'll find that I'm not a person who gets caught up in the celebrity. I always kind of go for the underdogs and the supporting actors and that kind of thing. I'm not really caught up in that fame thing. So
I understand that. Well, so let me ask you this then, and it doesn't have to be somebody famous. Most people I know that can play music also have somebody they'd like to perform with, do a
yeah.
collaboration with. So who would you like to collaborate with? And it doesn't have to be a celebrity.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find out what makes Patty Stefan tick.
Honestly, right now, Michael Pollard. This is a gentleman out of Texas, and I toured with him. He was very young at the time. He was only 16 years old, and he just grew into this awesome guitar player. In fact, one of the songs I'm going to be releasing soon, he's doing all the guitar parts, and he just took it and ran with it, and it just sounds awesome. And he's a great musician, and he knows a lot of great musicians in Texas. He got a guy to play a dobro, mandolin, and fiddle on one of my other songs that I wrote. And Michael Pollard, if in the future, I really just want to continue to collaborate with him, because I really like the way he takes my songs and just makes them awesome. So I hope he gets to see this video, because I'm giving him a plug. I'm giving him a shout out. He's an awesome guitar player.
Well, I can respect that. And because I'm a fan of music and I've not heard of this person, I would love to hear him play.
He's awesome. I'll send you some stuff. And when I get this song finished recording, you'll get to hear him, play, because he put like 4 different guitar parts on this song. And it sounds fantastic.
I'm looking forward to that. Now, you said you've been on tour
Yes.
before?
Yeah.
And from your perspective, what's the hardest thing about being on tour?
Waking up in a different bed every day. You kind of wake up and go, where am I now? I think that's the biggest thing. Travel is rough. I'm not a big traveler, so that was hard I did it for about a year and a half. And it does get tiring after a while. You just want one place to lay your head down. But I would say the traveling for me. Other people may like it, but I like to wake up in my own bed every day, so I'm not a big fan of it. That's why I love this whole social media and being able to perform without having to go anywhere.
I can respect that. And that leads to another question, but I'm going to set that question aside for a minute because I wanted to ask you a question. It's kind of got two sides to it. So the first side is, since you started writing and performing, what's been the best advice you've ever been given?
I can't think of anything offhand other than like now in trying to build up my, any independent art, being an independent artist. I saw a guy on TikTok one time, fairly recently, who said, you don't need 1 million followers to actually make a living at this. He said, just find yourself like 1,000, dedicated, loyal followers. And that's kind of what I'm striving for. I'm not looking for major big numbers because I see a lot of people with a lot of big following, but what does it really benefit? Is it really benefiting them? I don't know. So I would say that would be, just focus on, I just want to find a set of people that really enjoy my music and support it. So I think that was good advice. That
Okay.
he didn't intentionally seek me out to give me that advice, but I heard him and I thought it was good advice.
Right. And it does sound like good advice. Now, the flip side of that question, and it's different, and it's going to be a little different than I've asked in past interviews, but if you could, to your fans, or more importantly, to people that are just starting in this process of performing, what advice would you offer?
Perseverance. If it's your passion, you got to persevere because it just doesn't go your way, the minute you start. Perseverance is a big thing, whether you're learning an instrument or learning a new skill in the music industry, singing, playing, or recording. You got to persevere. You got to stick with it. If you really, really have a passion for it, you got to persevere.
There you go, my friend. So if you're listening to this interview and you're thinking of taking up a career as a singer or musician or any kind of entertainment, once you get started, you persevere and you're going to stick through it. You're going to have ups and downs. You just got to stay the course through that.
Yep.
Okay, now the question I said we'd set aside for a minute. Good and bad, how do you feel the internet has impacted the music business?
Well, I've heard many artists from the past, that are still here today. As far as artists being able to make money, it's very tough now because, they used to be able to sell records or CDs and you couldn't get them digitally or electronically. You couldn't buy, just one song off the CD. You had to take the whole thing. You had to take the whole album. So I really think that hurt the money-making part of the music industry. But by the same token, it's also nice for somebody like me who can get on social media and share her talent or sell or make a single and get it out there for streaming. I don't need a record label to do it. So, and everything digital or whatever, technology has its good sides and its bad sides. I think it's harder to make money, but because you really I look at somebody like Tom McDonald, who's really just, he did everything without a label.
Right.
He did it all through the internet and, selling his merchandise. That guy persevered and it paid off.
I think Tom McDonald is a good example of talent will eventually win out regardless.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And I think you'll be as successful as you want to be because you clearly are talented. That's why I was inspired to invite you here, and I probably would have invited you sooner if I had found you sooner.
I appreciate that so much.
Okay, so let me ask you, what is your biggest fear in being a performer?
I think rejection. It's always been a kind of a thing with me. You have to really grow a thick skin sometimes. Sometimes I don't get them too often, I rarely get bad comments, but probably that, like I'm the type of person, if I read a review, like say an Amazon product, I see one bad review and I say, I'm not reading, I'm not getting that, I can kind of be that way. I'm not really trying to be this famous person, but by the same token, I think fear scares me too. The thought of being famous and have everybody like in your face all the time, that kind of, I need my space. So I would think in the industries, things like that would be my greatest fear: the rejection and also the fame. It just doesn't appeal to me.
I can understand that. Now, this question, I haven't asked it for several interviews, but I want to bring it back because I just kind of get a kick out of the answers that I hear.
Okay.
What would you say is your most noticeable useless talent?
Okay. I can touch my nose with my tongue. That's definitely useless.
Well, for sure. Yeah. I've had some really good answers for that. That's a good one. And I like to use it. I like to bring that out because it kind of breaks up the seriousness and keeps things light. So, what is your favorite song to perform?
Honestly, it's really not one of mine. I find that I can sing a lot of guy songs a lot easier. I like singing Bon Jovi stuff. Anything that I can really put some grit into it. I love singing Black Velvet. That's one of my favorite songs to sing. Some John Bon Jovi stuff. There's some I tend to like. There's quite a few songs that I sing that have this like an attitude, kind of towards men. It's like, and I don't want to give men the impression that I don't like them, but it's just one of those songs that I can sink my vocals into, like, Carrie Underwood's Before He Cheats,
Right.
Songs like that. There's the one that Jody Messina does called My Give a Damn's Busted.
Oh, it's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, those are kind of my favorite songs to sing, not so much because of the lyrical content, but because I can really come off with that attitude because I have that raspy voice. So I would say songs that are kind of gritty like that are my favorite songs to perform.
That makes sense to me. And like I said, I've heard you sing, and you do have what I consider a powerful voice.
Yeah.
And you use it well, and you're definitely suited for those kind of songs. So, I guess one last thing to ask now, and that is what's next for Patty Stefan? What do you see? How do you see things going down the road?
Well, I need to keep focused on getting more songs out. That's definitely, I have a few of them in the works right now. One of them is the one that Michael played on, and that's actually a gospel tune that we worked on, and that's like the next thing that I want to work on. I have another song that I'm working on. It's called We the People, and the lyrics are kind of straightforward, just addressing the current situation in our country. It's frustrating with the leadership in this country, and the song is pretty forward. So I'm kind of leaning on the fence of whether I want to release it or not. I might put it by a few people first and see what they think, but it's pretty bold. It's a bold song.
I'd like to hear it then, and my gut tells me that I would say definitely get that out there. People need to hear bold message.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the country's spiraling in the wrong direction.
It is very much so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
So that's
Patty,
really just. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've started wrapping up my interviews in a different way now. So now I'm giving you the opportunity to shout out, whether you want to shout out a person, shout out music you've released, anything. Just this is your time to shout out who or what you want to shout out to.
Well, I've been trying to really get my Christmas song to go viral, but by the time you post this, Christmas will be over. So I just want to give a shout out to Michael Pollard. Boy, if you're looking for a guitar player to play on your music, he's the guy. He's awesome. And he's out of Texas, and contact me if you want to get a hold of him. That's the shout out I want to give to that guy because he's amazing.
That is definitely awesome. And you're on all streaming platforms?
I am, yes. Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, Apple. It's even on Pandora, iHeart, and Deezer. All the streaming apps. My music. I have like 4 songs out there right now.
Well, that's awesome. Patty, I want to thank you for taking the time to let me ask you a few questions and get to know you a little better. I look
Uh,
forward to interacting with you more in Clapper, which is where we met.
right.
And I will be more than pleased to see your songs become much better known.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. This has been great. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Folks, if while you watch this interview, you feel like I didn't ask a certain question I should have asked to Patty, while you're watching, make a comment. By all means, like the video and subscribe, because there are many more interesting interviews coming up and previous interviews that I've done. But in all ways, I appreciate the support. Patty, you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye.